Good evening, friends. Welcome to a second late night edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. You know the drill. I'm a retired New York City police detective and a 9/11 World Trade Center first responder. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Today is day 9 on the manhunt for Danelo Cavalcante. A lot of information, a lot of things happening today in Pennsylvania. It's been a scurry of live streams. Everybody's been covering it. Everyone's been following it by air, on the ground, on the television. You can't not know what's going on. Danelo Cavalcante has escaped and eluded authorities since August 31st. 9 days on the run in the woods in Pennsylvania. And it's getting real hectic right here, right now. Day 9, Mark. Yes. Wow. Day 9. This guy is a proven survivalist. He eluded authorities in his home country in Brazil. He was in the woods there. We're learning more about this perpetrator. And thank you for the super chats coming in from Will 411 now and all my good friends. I hope you guys enjoyed the previous live stream, but let me go right to this local news. I love to cover the local news. These are snipers. There's one guy with a sniper rifle with the bucket with the hat on right here in the middle. That's a sniper rifle with a high-powered scope. So they've had some pretty good intel today, and the intel didn't pan out to where we've gotten him into custody. He's not in custody, and it didn't pan out today. But let's take a look right now at this local coverage, and I'll be right back with you.
As we speak in Chester County, and unfolding as we speak in Chester County, and a new development in the investigation into Danelo Cavalcante's escape. We learned this afternoon that the prison guard on tower duty when that convicted killer broke out last week has now been fired. The acting warden of the prison said just days ago that that guard, an 18-year veteran, failed to see Cavalcante as he scaled onto the roof, and then over that roof, nearly an hour would pass before anyone noticed he was gone. Again, the effort to recapture Cavalcante may be entering a brand new phase right now. Tonight, as officers descend on that area they believe he might be hiding, we're getting a look inside what's been a sprawling search effort for that convicted killer. It is comprehensive and it is complex. Action News reporter Maggie Kent's been following every step of this for the last several days. Maggie, a lot of ground to cover tonight.
So much. And, you say it and it's exactly true. So much ground to cover for those law enforcement officers. This is day 9 of the search for Danelo Cavalcante, a convicted murderer who was able to escape from Chester County Prison. And we're hearing that an eyewitness account was since confirmed by some trail camera footage placing Cavalcante in the area of Longwood Gardens. And that's really where a lot of the attention has been today.
And puts him over in the area of Longwood Gardens.
Eyewitness accounts and trail camera footage place convicted killer Danelo Cavalcante at Longwood Gardens as recently as Thursday at noon. It's where officers with long guns once again descended today. This afternoon, we toured the command center of this massive operation to catch an escaped prisoner.
I know how stressful this is for the community. You want to know that there is a strong effort to capture him.
Working 12-hour shifts, state troopers, customs and border agents, and FBI agents are manning the phones, taking in tips and dispatching law enforcement accordingly. They're watching live camera feeds and taking in a stream of the helicopter's aerial view.
It allows us to visually see where we've got people placed.
A giant map of the latest perimeter is projected onto the wall to show exactly where trooper vehicles are stationed to dispatch accordingly.
In this area, we've got tactical teams operating right now, mounted, canines, aviation.
Searching a field near Baltimore Pike and Lenape Road on foot and mounted patrol this morning. The goal is to keep pressure on Cavalcante, who has experience hiding in the jungle of Brazil, evading capture in his home country in 2017.
After the crime that he committed down there, he did something very similar to this in the jungle down there. So it's not surprising to me that he's able to last out.
But the frightening part about what this commander of the Pennsylvania State Police said is he was able to do this in Brazil and get away. He got here to the United States of America. So he left that part out, and that's what I homed in on when I watched this. Anybody else catch in onto that? He did this in 2017 in Brazil. In Brazil, the jungles are a lot more treacherous than the heavy bush of Pennsylvania. But yeah, I'm going to just put it back so you guys can hear him say it, and nobody questioned him. Hey, if he got away in Brazil, what makes you think you're going to get him here?
After the crime that he committed down there, he did something very similar to this in the jungle down there. So it's not surprising to me that he's able to last out there for a little while.
We've seen a very large police presence out here today, Brian. We're told upwards of 350 members of law enforcement are here now in order to catch Danelo Cavalcante. When we asked about how long they could maintain such a large police force, Lieutenant Colonel Bivens says, that will ebb and flow based off of what they need each day, but never will it be understaffed as they continue their search. We're live in Kennett Square. Maggie Kent.
So I want to just say this. There was a lot of people today that were on the live stream because I was at work and I got notifications, not YouTube notifications, but I got notified by some of my, some of the people here, some of the people part of this community, and like, they got him. They have him cornered. They've got him. Well, that's the way it appeared. There was a lot of urgency going on, and there was a lot of personnel scurrying all over the place during the course of the day. But here we are at almost 10:30. It is 10:31 p.m. on the East Coast, and he's not in custody. So
we begin tonight with breaking.
A lot of people today were jumping up and down. We got him. We got him. We got him. Until he's in handcuffs or until he is taken out in a body bag, we don't have him. And I always wait. I'll always wait and err on the side of caution, because this thing is not seeming like there's a it's not going to be a short term search. We're into day 9, going into the morning of day 10. I hope and pray that they get this guy into custody without him hurting an innocent civilian, one of the men and women of law enforcement. And now I see an even more dangerous thing, because there's a $20,000 bounty. I'm now seeing regular civilians, regular lay people going out into the brush with their camera phones on their cell phones and floodlights, going into the bush to try to take this guy on. And do you think that he's just going to come out and say, here I am? Here I am? Like Gonzalo Lopez. I keep bringing Gonzalo Lopez up because he was able to put one of those hunting ghillie suits on, right? He was watching and waiting in the brush for times that were safe for him to move. And he went into hunting homes, which I'm sure there's plenty of hunting homes in this Pennsylvania area, and he was breaking into them and getting weapons and getting supplies and taking showers and cleaning himself up. So this is the problem, is that I don't want to see innocent civilians, homeowners, residents of that community get hurt by this guy. I don't want to see the police or anybody for that matter get hurt. But now, because of the $20,000 bounty, guess what? Regular lay people they got dollar signs in their eyes, and they want to get them. They want to capture them for the money. You run into this guy, it's not going to be a walk in the park. I'll tell you that right now. Here's a little piece from News Nation from about 20 minutes ago.
We begin tonight with breaking news, major new developments in the manhunt for the escaped killer Danelo Cavalcante. He's in his 9th day now on the run after escaping Chester County Prison in Pennsylvania last week. Video captured him crab walking up a prison wall to freedom. And now we're learning the corrections officer who was manning the watchtower during his escape has been fired. Also tonight, the manhunt getting a major boost with hundreds of new officers added to the search today. Local, state, and federal officials are joining the effort with their focus moving toward Longwood Gardens. Overnight, that was the focus of the search and the evacuation of nearby residents. Those who stayed in or near the 200-acre garden were told to shelter in place after Cavalcante was believed to be caught on another trail camera. Meanwhile, police could be seen this morning in Kennett Square after reports of a break-in that could be connected to Cavalcante. So far, he has evaded capture, and residents are beginning to wonder why it's taking so long to find a man police warn is extremely dangerous. For the very latest, let's go now to News Nation's correspondent Evan Lambert live in Kennett Square. A lot's been happening there, Kennett. And I know, Evan, you were there overnight. You were there all day today. You've been there all week. What do you know about, first of all, this corrections officer who's been fired from his job?
Right, so that person's name has not been released, but they've worked for the prison for 18 years until they were fired after this escape happened on that person's watch. The correlating search still has a community on lockdown. Escaped killer Danelo Cavalcante remains on the run after once again evading capture. Residents urged to stay on alert after another credible sighting confirmed overnight. The search area now shifting west to encompass a popular botanical garden area. Police swarming Longwood Gardens.
We've got a large perimeter secured that is a pretty secure perimeter that we can push hard against with the tactical teams.
This only a few miles from the prison Cavalcante fled 9 days ago. Surveillance footage capturing him crab walking up 2 walls and pushing his way through razor wire. He's also known to have experience in harsh jungle conditions, having escaped there after a 2017 murder he's accused of in Brazil.
I will keep up this search at whatever tempo is appropriate for as long as we need to. He's a dangerous individual.
News Nation getting a behind-the-scenes look at the command center of this extensive multi-agency manhunt, which now involves 350 to 400 officers. Seeing the space in a firehouse where dozens of state, local, and federal authorities are answering tip lines, deploying officers, and monitoring helicopter and other searches using sophisticated technology.
Now, are they on like 12 on, 12 off shifts? Is
Yes.
that widespread?
Yeah, 3 planners at least on every shift, and they're taking care of everything from getting batteries to power devices to arranging for meals, to arranging the next shift, to arranging fuel or repairs to a car, on and on.
And state police saying they can't rule Cavalcante in or out of that break-in this morning. Elizabeth?
Evan, how much longer can authorities keep up this level of effort and manpower?
Right, a key question, and all those resources come at an incredible expense as well. But the man leading this operation with the state police says this is a dangerous guy, so they will be out here as long as it takes, and that the resources can ebb and flow based on need.
And Evan, very quickly, I watched you last night. You were reporting live from the area as there was a flurry of activity. They were evacuating people who were in Longwood Gardens or nearby it. How long did that continue last night? And obviously they didn't find him.
Right, well, into the overnight hours, people were asked to stay in their homes, but the gardens is closed. So all those people were evacuated yesterday, and they have not been allowed back into the gardens itself.
Thanks so much for watching.
So there you have it. I just wanted to just say real quick to you guys, I keep mentioning Gonzalo Lopez, and that was a prisoner who escaped off a prison bus in Leon County, Texas. He was a mass murderer. He was convicted of multiple murders, and he basically just overpowered prison correction officers in a transport from the hospital. It was on a medical transport. And the Tieperman family, I had Robert and his wife, Melanie, and their son, who recorded this prison bus breakout, this murderer who broke out of the prison bus. They text me just now. And, they told me that, this is Gonzalo Lopez-esque, this whole situation, because, and I'll read word for word what I just received while we were playing this from the Tieperman family. He said, yes, Ron, this guy is getting to the desperation point. He's going to try to do something with a family or a passenger or a passerby to get their car. He's going to try to get someone's car, just like Lopez did. I hate to admit that, but this is what I feel. And these are people who lived through this. Gonzalo Lopez was in their woods outside their home. They have video that they sent me of the helicopters hovering over their house. And this is coming from them. They just moments ago sent me this message. And I'm going to have them on as a guest to get their perspective. They've been through this. And the Collins family, a family of 5, were brutally murdered inside their own summer home by Gonzalo Lopez, an escaped prisoner, a murderer who escaped custody. And that's the sad part about this. This is not a game. This is not anything to take lightly. So everybody that's in that area, everyone that's in the area, the search area, Longwood Gardens. My niece, just by so you know, I was out at my sister's house just over the weekend, and I did a members only live. My niece, who I showed on the live stream, Julia, who just had a baby, they live just a short jump from Longwood Gardens. They live right over there. So she texts me. She says, Uncle Ronnie, she's calling me Uncle Ronnie, right? DutyRon, Uncle Ronnie. She said, Uncle Ronnie, I will come on and give you a resident's perspective and how scared they are. She's got a newborn child in her home, and they're frightened. They live close by. And I'm just going to play this. This is some overhead helicopter footage from today. This gives you an idea of what was going on. I'm going to let this play in the background so you guys can see some of the personnel in the background. But getting back to the point of the prison guard, the prison correction officer, he was terminated. The Pennsylvania State Police executive said that this guard tower employee was terminated. And by a show of hands here in the chat, who feels that was something that needed to be done? But I don't think that they should stop there. I think whoever was in charge of that facility, and we know that the warden resigned, he didn't get fired. So this low-level correction officer, the low man on the totem pole, lost everything. He lost his pension, he lost his job, he or she, and the warden, who's making the most money and is responsible for everything that happens there, was able to resign. So how fair is that? I mean, I do agree that people should be reprimanded and perhaps fired, but what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, right? And it didn't work that way. So failure, as Candy says, failure starts at the top. And I agree. So here's a look at some horseback state police officers on horseback from today. I'll go full screen with this so you guys could see it better. And this is just helicopter footage. There's no audio with it. There's a very good comment, by the way, right there. Candy, thank you for that. Thomas Jordan is in the chat. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, Carol, the warden should get fired, just like the correction officer in the tower got fired. So what you're looking at today is helicopter footage from this afternoon. And there was reports that there was a construction worker that cited Danilo. There was word that an FBI agent saw him and gave chase. I haven't seen any official confirmation of that, but those are things that we have to speak about, right? We have to speak about this. And I'm going to go on to Google Earth and give you guys a good overview of, what this location looks like. Longwood Gardens is beautiful. My sister and my niece they go there. They've been there. And I'm sure many people in that Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey region have visited Longwood Gardens. It's beautiful. It's really fantastic there. So, I want to just say, again, this is an operation of epic proportions. 400 plus law enforcement personnel. It is, Ashley, I can't even, listen, I'm going to highlight that comment because it is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but at the same time, think about the guys, the men and women who are out there here on horseback and are out there braving the horrible, horrible heat and humidity today. And these animals, these horses, the dogs, and human beings are all braving this. And they had nothing to do with this. This is all on Chester County Prison. And all of these personnel are out there. Nobody's complaining. They're out there doing a job, you know? So it is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the prison. It's embarrassing for the prison. But these men and women, these 400 plus helicopter pilots risking possible, accidents with helicopters, fatigue. Look, here's a guy standing out on the road in the hot temperatures all day for hours, just staring into the woods, having to keep vigilant and steadfast, guarding and trying to safeguard the perimeter. This is not an easy thing, And people are saying here, Bobby, thank you for being back here again tonight. If you're a returning viewer or a new subscriber, let me know in the chat by saying, hello, I'm new. Just let me know if you're new. If you're returning, thank you and welcome. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. This is my second live stream tonight. I felt that I couldn't go to sleep without giving you guys an update. And this is really, there's nothing to update because I was hoping that I could go live and say he's captured and he's in custody. Our men and women of law enforcement are out there doing what they can, and if they are, not doing this to what we think is, the proper speed, trust me, if they could get this guy in custody, they would get him in custody immediately. They want to protect and serve the community there and keep it safe. But look at this. Look at this brush. Even if they did see him and he bolted into the brush, it's easier for us to Monday morning quarterback this thing and say, hey, if we were there, we would get it done. Some people like Jimmy Jam here is saying 400 is nothing. Well, I beg to differ. I think 400 is a lot of personnel. And you're not just talking about 400 on the ground. You're talking from the air and using drone technology and so forth. There's a lot of technology that's being used here. But this guy apparently is pretty good at evasion. He did it in Brazil in 2017 and going forward. And he was able to evade capture and come here to the United States. And the only reason he is in custody or was in custody in the United States is because his girlfriend said to him, you got to turn yourself in. And he didn't want to turn himself in for his warrants for murder in his country. And he wound up killing her, stabbed her something 30 something times. So you're looking at a news camera, news helicopter. And this is just footage from today. Just want to give this. Yeah. HokoTube 75 says this guy is the real Tarzan. I wouldn't give him that classification. This guy is a heinous murderer who knows how to survive. And I'm working on getting a survivalist to come and give us a little bit of an education on how difficult it is to stay out for 9+ days in heavy brush like what we're seeing here. This helicopter shot, I wanted to play it for you guys because it really shows you, what this terrain looks like. That's a very good question. I'm looking at the chat right here. Planier says, do we know if he has any mental health issues? I know this. The prison, the Chester County Prison, had to do an intake form on him. So they should know that. And if he had mental health issues, they should be putting that out there. Hey, does anybody look at that and say, is that a crop circle over here to the right? I'm just trying to get a little bit of humor out of this. Anybody look at this over here to the right and say, hey, is that a crop circle? Is there extraterrestrial out there? Sorry, but I had to. Right? I was looking at that before when I was talking to you guys. I was like, wait a minute. It's like, damn it, that looks like crop circles. It's got to do with something with Elaine says, hey, you never know. I don't know. I don't know about that. But listen, when you have money, when there's money, who knows will show up. Who knows who's gonna show up, but it's dangerous, Carly says it reminds her of the movie Signs. Yes, that's exactly what I thought of. Mel Gibson, right? Well, maybe I got the wrong movie there, but it reminded me of the movie with Mel Gibson. It's getting late. I'm getting weary. Oh, but look at this. Look at this shot, this pulled out shot. Let me take the banner off. Let me take the branding off so you guys can see it better. This is just a small tidbit of it, but this is the concentrated area that they were looking at today, So I was right. Crop circles. At least I wasn't the only one thinking that. I'm glad I'm not alone. Guys, if you're not yet subscribed, or if you haven't shared this video out, share it out. Keep homing in on the two units here in the horseback units. I think that they're just obviously securing that perimeter. And what they do is they try to, so last known sighting, last known intel, they'll take that perimeter, whether it's a 2 or a 3 mile or a 5 mile perimeter, and they'll put personnel all along that perimeter. And they'll be looking from, right to left, front and back, and looking all around that perimeter and doing the best that they can. And just because you don't see boots on the ground at different points along this perimeter doesn't mean that it's not. Like here, he pulls out and you see these crop circles, right? I'm just kidding, but you don't see personnel all along there. The reason you don't see that personnel is because the law enforcement helicopters, they have a very wide vision. And as we saw from some of the live streaming that was done today, there was multiple helicopters up from the law enforcement component, not to mention all of the helicopters from the news as well. So this is a news chopper taking these pictures and video. They got eyes on this whole perimeter from the air, and that's a good thing. What I worry the most about here, the biggest fear for me is that he gets inside someone's home and he holds the homeowners or occupants hostage, or somebody tries to fight back that's not capable of fighting this guy. I mean, this guy's a strong, 5 foot tall, short dude, but he's got a massive amount of upper body strength to be able to pull that maneuver that he pulled to get himself out of the Chester County prison. Just shows you that he is a strong individual, so. Heidi Cake says, DutyRon, before you came on live with the last live tonight, they were focusing on the cornfields also. Yeah, I'm just showing this from today. They focused on many different locations. I have the cornfield footage. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. I'm going to try to stay live for about an hour with you folks, so bear with me. If you're new, let me know that you're new. If you have anything that you want to input here in the comments, just put, hashtag DutyRon, or just hashtag, hey, this is what I think. But use the hashtag DutyRon. This way it'll get my attention when I see it. It's unknown if he has a phone, 1972 Howard. I have no official confirmation of that, and I'll never go based on what someone's just saying on the internet. If the law enforcement puts that out and says that he's got a phone, then I've got to believe that he's got a phone. Hey, Karen, thank you for being new. Right before I saw Karen, DH says they got to change their tactics. They need to change their tactics. You know, we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. We know what we're seeing for face value, right? We know what we're seeing for face value, but the bottom line is here. Will says, "Hey, DutyRon, I'm new." Will, thank you for the support. Thank you for everything that you do on your channel. You got a great channel, and I'm still, I believe, I'm still a member of your channel as well. One of just a few that I'm members with. But just because what we're seeing for face value out here on the screen, that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't other things that they're doing. And I guarantee you, and I'll tell you this, they're doing a lot of other things that are unknown to the public to try to get this guy into custody. Presence along Longwood Gardens, 5 helicopters at one point. PSP officer spotted escapee running through the field and into the trees, couldn't get a clean shot. So that's coming from GZA 160. Again, unverified information, but thank you for sharing that with us. We don't know if that's true. I didn't see or hear any of that reported officially. And I'm going to go to the Fox 29 news at 11. So at 11 o'clock in 4 minutes, we'll cut to that. Wendy Kraft, I do not know how crop circles work, nor will I do that on this live stream. But thank you for some giving me some a good laugh for a second there. Thank you. Black Rose, good to see you. Thank you for joining. All right, so I'm going to fast forward this to see where we go from here. It's just the aerial shots. This went on for over 30 minutes. At the end here, they show the snipers. Now, I want to focus back on this again, because in the beginning we showed a bona fide news clip, and they showed these guys, and you could see. I'm going to pause it right here. You see personnel here. You see personnel probably up and around the bend. They're at different intervals along the perimeter, but this was just trying to see what it's from 6 hours ago. So I want to show you the guys at the bridge there, and they're not just standing there with a scope, with a sniper rifle for no reason. It's, again, based on intel, and sometimes intel is bad. Here they are up to the right, up into the right, top right of your screen. And here, the camera's going to zoom in on it. You know, this guy right here with the hat on is the sniper. And it looks like there's another one to our right as you're looking at the screen, to our left. Personnel down here on the road. They did a lot today. Today was the most activity that I've seen in all the days. Today was the most activity. You know, and as a retired New York City police detective, when you see stuff like this, they don't just stand there for nothing. Like, there's intel, and until that intel is proven or disproven, then they stand by and they wait for their orders. So and that's what happens. You know, that's what they do. So this is a great question, Wendy. I don't know what the standing order is. You know, you'd have to be part of that command, you know, at the command center, and you'd have to be part of the TAC meeting. I know deadly force is authorized if he does not comply. So they would have to probably make some commands to him. And if he doesn't respond to the commands, then they could probably shoot him. And, you know, with the scope, they're not just going to shoot him like, you know, you would see something in a war movie, you know, oh, okay, we got eyes on him, we're going to take him out, and boom, and they just pop him. That's not how it's going to work here. They're going to have to throw out some commands to him, and ask him to comply. And some people might be outraged by that, but that's how it's done. They're not just going to just take him out if they see him. They're going to ask him to get on the ground, put your hands up, get on the ground, whatever the commands will be. Let me go to Fox 29 Live. Where the hell is it? Come on. Thought I saved it. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is the 11 o'clock hour.
Impacts the entire
All right. So I have it on cue. As soon as they break to 11 o'clock, they should be coming on now. Am I not seeing this? Okay. Here we go. Bear with me a second. And then I've got some Google Earth stuff to show you. They're doing the Mega Millions, and then they're going to go live. This will be probably the first story. All right, so let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Joey Brooklyn, I'm glad I got a moderator here. Please keep a close eye on the chat for me, Joey. I've seen some shitty comments coming through. I've taken a couple out myself. If you see anything, just take it out, Joe. It looks like Dawn Marie bailed on us. I guess she had something to do. We don't have too many mods here. So the heavy lifting has got to be on you, Mr. Joey Brooklyn. I know you could step up to the plate on that one. I'll be watching too. Thank you, Wendy Wells. I appreciate that. Hello, Princess Mitch. Oh, yeah, we have Princess Mitch in the house. Another great mod. Thank you. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. All right, here we go, guys.
Manhunt day 9, and breaking now, a reported new sighting of the escaped killer. This is the Fox 29 News at 11 o'clock. I'm Jason Martinez. So still no capture of the fugitive tonight as law enforcement centers its search on a perimeter near Longwood Gardens. We are live inside the search zone tonight in Chester County. And Shawnette, now weather is a factor in this search.
It is, Jason, and the reason that we are still reporting live from inside the news van, there's still plenty of law enforcement in their vehicles here. We are at Longwood and Conservatory Road, flashing lights still on, so still a heavy presence here. We are talking about this search now in day 9, looking for Danelo Cavalcante. This is the largest number of investigators here for the manhunt since it began. So let's go ahead and look at some video. We were hearing at least 400 members of law enforcement have been scouring an area near Longwood Gardens, approximately 8 miles, as the perimeter shifted west of the Longwood Gardens attraction. Now, a source told Fox 29 today that law enforcement was seen chasing someone on the Longwood property,
Yes, this is live,
prompting a high response. But the last confirmed sighting was noon yesterday. That is when someone on the property of Longwood Gardens reported seeing Cavalcante, forcing officials to shut down the place, and that was the day they had first reopened to the public. Now, a small number of people showed up and were escorted away. Earlier today, my coworker, Chris O'Connell, got a look inside the temporary command center in Unionville, about 3 miles from the search zone. Inside is where federal, state, and local officials are working tips and tracking reported sightings. So again, it has been just about over a week here since he was able to scale a wall of the prison, get onto the roof, and then get off of the property. Again, we're talking about a large response going into 9 days now.
Yes,
a
this
lot
is
of
live.
Spectators still remain out here highly interested in the search for this escapee. At this point, looking like, Jason, it could go into another day.
And the Mushroom Festival
Shauna,
is
thank
still
you very
going
much. And we are posting updates on this search on fox29.com and on our Fox 29 app, as well as our social media pages. And now to this forecast that seems to be really heating up right now.
This is
not
important
literally, but
for the search.
figuratively. Radar is active as we head into the weekend. Gusty storms, relief from the heat, sure, but it's is it loud?
This is
out there?
important for the
Kind of
search.
Lightning and thunder, Drew.
Oh, yeah, it comes at a cost. In fact, there is some roaring loud thunder in parts of our area. Let's talk about these 90s. Day number 6, that's it. Push them out of here. We're done with the 90s. But let's look at this. Media, let's see if there's any lightning. You know, it's really interesting. You can see lightning 50 to even 100 miles away. So sometimes you can see it, but you end up not getting the storm. It's not heat lightning. Nah, it's just a thunderstorm in the distance. But we just got nailed in media in Delaware County just a short time ago. Take a look at this. I want to zoom in because we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm and some pretty impressive hail right now in
that
parts
area
of Delaware County. You see those purples right there? That's hail. Anytime you see purples on radar,
it's going to move forward.
This severe thunderstorm warning in effect through 11:45 as it just barrels its way across Delaware County into parts of Montgomery County and Philadelphia.
All right, we're gonna just let that play in the background, and I'm gonna go full screen with me. That was just a live shot from Fox 29. I wanted you guys to hear the local coverage because some of the best coverage is the local coverage. They know the area, they know what's going on, and our good friend Chris O'Connell, great coverage. He's been out and about, and he told us. Remember last night he said. I know a lot of you here were following him on his 5-6 hour live streams that he's been doing, but he said to us last night, I'm not going to be on this story tomorrow. I'm going to go just cover the command center. Guess what? He didn't just cover the command center. He left the command center when this started breaking and went out. He was down, boots on the ground at Longwood Gardens, and he was out there. So, Andy, thank you for being here and good night. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I'd like to, just keep track of this inclement weather that's happening, storms, lightning, heavy rain, but it doesn't necessarily mean that will flush them out. Okay. So, Pickle Toes Grandma, thank you for being a member. Welcome rain to Texas. Woohoo. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hey, if you haven't yet subscribed, consider subscribing and hitting the thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. It's great for the algorithm. It's always great for the channel when you do that. We're going to be going to a little bit more of a live shot here from boots on the ground, reporters on the scene. I don't know if we'll be hearing from Chris tonight, but I'm going to definitely go and show you what he was doing. And we're going to go to some Google Earth images and video. We're going to get down on the ground and take a look at Longwood Road. We're going to walk up Longwood Road and take a peek. I know a lot of you have seen it by video, but it's always good to get a different perspective from Google Earth, and that's what we'll try to do. And I'll bring you a couple of more videos and live coverage and coverage that we've seen in the past, because there's a ton more video. People were live for 6-7 hours today. I was at work, and then I was preparing for tonight's live stream that Ed Wallace and I did with our 3 doctors. If you missed it, go and check it out. Dr. Larry Dobrin, a forensic dentist, also Dr. Murray Marks, who's a forensic anthropologist, and Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, who is a genetic genealogist. They were on with us tonight at 8:30, so I'll link it here in the description if you guys haven't seen it. But let's get back to Danelo Cavalcante. 9 days on the run, a Brazilian national, right? He comes from Brazil. He entered into our country through Puerto Rico. He obtained a fake identification and then traveled from Puerto Rico to Pennsylvania. I heard an interview tonight from the deceased, the deceased woman, the woman he killed. We heard from her friend on News Nation. I'm not going to play that interview because I don't think it really adds much to this story. But she went on there and said, he is a survivalist. She didn't know much about him, but she was giving her perspective that he could survive out there for as long as it takes, and that he's violent, and that he was very violent. So, combining all of this to the skills that he showed us on video of scaling a wall backwards, that maneuver, I called it Spider-Man, but the official word for it is, I think, pigeon stepping or something like that. Guys, correct me in the chat if I got it wrong. But what he did at that prison was, I just did a double take. I was like, holy. Amazing. So I'm still monitoring Fox 29. As soon as they break back, crab walking. Thank you. I knew I was wrong. I knew I was way off. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Crab walking. There you go. All right. So as soon as they break back here, I'm going to get up on it. But yeah, my niece has agreed to kind of come back on and come live with me. Maybe tomorrow I'll have her on and she can give a local's perspective on how they're feeling, how the local, how the local people and the shop owners. Okay, here we go.
Team of federal, state, and local officers are working around the clock to find the escaped prisoner.
Work has many meanings. There's hard work and there's working hard.
Remember that from last night? Remember I kept getting that video, that advertisement. So they're gonna, as soon as they come back, they're gonna go into that piece. I'll start sharing that with you guys. Again, I want to pull the chat. How many of you guys in the chat feel like 9 days? Come on, this is ridiculous. Either find this guy or tell us that he's out of the area. They're not telling us that he's out of this area. They're telling us that they've had eyes on him and that they had a sighting of him as soon as today, that there was a sighting of him today. That's what prompted this flurry of activity. I just want to know, Jolene here, way too long. Many people feel like it's ridiculous and that it's, that they should be able to get this guy back into custody, but easier said than done. Look at Vicky White and Casey White. Vicky White broke Casey White out of an Alabama jail, and they were on the run for double-digit days, and they got into a chase. They stole a car. They got into a chase, and ultimately, she wound up killing herself. Vicky White took a gun and shot herself with it, and Casey White taken back into custody. So, people can always make that point of why. Gonzalo Lopez in the great state of Texas was out on the run 11 days. 11 days. We haven't reached the double digits. We're going to reach the double digits in about 50 minutes. It's 11:10 p.m. on the East Coast. In another 49 minutes, we are going to be into the double digits, day 10. And some will say that it's unreasonable for that. So, again, it's easy for us to point fingers. Pointing fingers are easy to do. And to say, if it was up to me, I'd have him in custody. If there was more competent authority there, we'd have him in custody. These men and women are out there, and they have nothing to do with his escape. The corrections, like I said, the correction officers at the Chester County Prison are responsible for his care and custody, and they effed up. Not only did they F up once, they effed up twice this year. One other inmate, thank God he was taken back into custody in 5 minutes, but he was able to escape that location. All right, here we go, guys.
It's a 24/7 operation here at this command center in Chester County with local, state, and federal law enforcement working around the clock to capture escaped prisoner Danelo Cavalcante. Our Chris O'Connell takes us inside.
There he is.
For the first time since the start of the search, the media was invited behind the scenes of the temporary command center at the Po-Mar-Lin Fire Company in Unionville, about 3 miles from the search zone. Inside a call center where state, federal, and local authorities are working around the clock, poring over tips and potential sightings. In the middle of the room, a large screen showing in real time the hundreds of state police and other law enforcement surrounding a new perimeter. Outside, Verizon and AT&T brought in trailers for voice and data communications and more mobile command centers monitoring cameras, maps, and aerial searches.
I don't think people realize what it takes to support an operation like this. It takes a lot of behind-the-scenes work to make sure that everything runs as a well-oiled machine.
State police hasn't said how much the response is costing taxpayers, and despite the price tag rising every day, police say they'll keep as much pressure on Cavalcante until he's caught.
We're actively trying to work this and bring it to an end so that the community can go back to normal, that school kids aren't concerned about getting on the bus or going to school or hearing a helicopter overhead at their school, that all of the things that people enjoy in their normal lives go back to that.
That was Chris O'Connell reporting. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy announcing the state.
All right. So that's about all that they have on that. I'm going to just still stick with this for another 15 or 20 minutes and watch. Jennifer Nobles, good to see you from Bakersfield, California. when are we going to get our sentencing of Trezell and Jacqueline West? I want them sentenced sooner than later. She says, I don't know. It's not my profession, so I don't think it's in my place to say they aren't doing enough. And I agree with that. I believe they are doing the best that they can at the same time trying to keep people safe. It must be tricky. It is tricky. And a lot of people are throwing out opinions and not even knowing what can and can't be done. And I know that the military won't come in, like the Marines, the National Guard. The National Guard can come in to do perimeter security, but they will not search for a wanted criminal. It's up to state, local, and if the feds are, and we know the FBI is involved, but our military, the branches of our military, will not seek and hunt down a criminal, and that's a fact. That's why they're not on it. So let's hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. Anybody that wants to throw out bull crap statements like that, I'm just gonna, if I see them, I block them. So again, we have no confirmation that Danelo Cavalcante is in custody. He is out there. So thank you so much, Dee. I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna let
It's next Lieutenant Governor.
Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. All right, so I promised you guys I was going to do some Google Earth. Yeah, the trolls are all over the place. They, it's sad, but you gotta kind of feel bad for them, because that's the only way that they can have fun, is to do stupid stuff like that. And this is not anything to be joking around about. There is nothing funny about this. There is nothing to make jokes about. So real people's lives are at stake. There is a ton of people in that community that are freaking petrified, So that's the bottom line is, if you really care about humanity, you wouldn't make jokes about something like this or make false statements. Yeah. All right. So let me do this. I'm gonna bail out of Fox 29, and I'm gonna go to Search Day 9. Let me just look at this Search Day 9. I think this is News Nation. Hold on.
Action unfolding as we.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I might have played this in the beginning, but I might not have. So I'm going to play it for you guys.
Action unfolding as we speak in Chester County. And
so those are the three guys at the top of that little footbridge there. And then I'm going to go over to Chris's coverage from during the day.
Development in the investigation into Danelo Cavalcante's escape. We learned this afternoon that the prison guard on tower duty when that convicted killer broke out last week has now been fired. The acting warden of the prison said just days ago that guard, an 18-year veteran, failed to see Cavalcante as he scaled onto the roof, and then over that roof, nearly an hour would pass before anyone noticed he was gone.
Now, we talked about this last night with our corrections professionals. Could Cavalcante escaped in the beginning of the 1 hour rec time? In other words, let me put myself back on here. So hear me out for a second. And some people might not want to hear this, but this is a possibility. Cavalcante could have pulled off that escape in the beginning of the 1 hour rec time. So I asked Anthony from Tier Talk, Anthony Ganji, do they do a count when they take out prisoners to the rec yard? And they do. They count, okay, we're going out with 23. And then when they come back in, they do a count at the end. They don't do the count in the middle of it if you're out on rec time. So if he scaled that wall, and we don't know because they didn't tell us, if he scaled that wall in the beginning of rec time, then that hour seems legit. It doesn't seem excessive. It doesn't seem like outrageous. Because if they're counting them as they're coming back in, which makes sense, and he did it in the beginning, then there's that hour buffer. There's some planning on this inmate's part. There's planning on his behalf. So, and that's just a possibility. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying that could be an extreme possibility. Val Fitz says he could be hiding in a tree. Oh, hell yeah. He could be hiding anywhere. He could have climbed up really high in a tree, but that's what you have helicopters for. And the helicopters should be scanning and zooming in on all of the trees and the foliage, you know? Yeah. And you know, Kelly, there's no argument. I'm not trying to stick up for them. I'm not trying to stick up for them any way, shape, or form here. But what I'm saying is that tower officer should have seen him on the roof, and somebody should have seen Danelo Cavalcante exiting that facility. It's a huge, huge piece of property, you know. Robbie from Australia says, why aren't they setting bear traps? Why aren't they setting any traps? If they set traps up, then other people could walk into them. Now, don't forget, civilians are going out into those woods and looking for them for the $20,000. So if they set up traps, we can have innocent people walking through those woods that are looking for Cavalcante getting stuck in the traps. So that's why they won't do that. Breaking into homes and stealing supplies. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And that's an extreme possibility. Let's go over to Chris. Holy shit. He did 5 hours and 22 minutes today.
Church.
Wow. All right, this is
heavy
Chris
for the last 24 hours after a sighting there yesterday. You probably hear search helicopters above.
Gardens.
There were some weather issues just a little while ago. I think they moved the helicopters around. But from what we understand, there was a sighting on the grounds of Longwood Gardens. We believe it was all a FBI agent as well as others who had physical confirmation of him. And massive response, one of the heaviest responses, most targeted responses we've seen so far in the last 9 days. It has been 9 days since the escape of Danelo Cavalcante. And as we take a look, Brian Z Live videographer is with me today. As we take a look we are on the corner of Longwood Road and Conservatory Road. If you know it, it is on the grounds, the western grounds of the famous Longwood Gardens. And we can see what we're seeing with our own eyes. State police about every 100 yards with their long guns out. We saw a huge response come in, tactical gear, very similar to other responses we've seen over the last 9 days. But what was a little different about this one is our sources are saying that they had the physical sighting, they had the helicopter above and had him cornered at least a specific location. And judging by the helicopter that was flying above at very low altitude, that would seem to align with what we were hearing, that there was they saw him, they know in the general vicinity where he is, and now they're once again trying to squeeze him out. The helicopters that were here searching, they did fly away just for a little while. It looked like there was a storm nearby. Some of our helicopter pilots we had to move away from the area. We had to ground our helicopter just for a little while to let this nearby storm blow over.
So this was some of the video and photos that we saw from earlier today. The massive amount of FBI, state, local, and federal partners that were out there with long guns. And they don't just go out there with those long guns for no reason, you know. So just highlighting some of these chats and saying thank you to everyone who is supporting Crime Time with DutyRon. A lot of people buying cups of coffee and all that stuff. That's awesome. Thank you. And thank you to the super thanks. People who give super thanks helps us keep the shop running, keep the shop going. So thank you for that.
Over. But you're looking at live now another.
I mean, look at that. Those are AR-15 style rifles that those Pennsylvania State police officers are carrying.
major response from what we understand is a physical confirmation of Danelo Cavalcante on the grounds of Longwood Gardens. Longwood Gardens was evacuated, closed down last night. Brian, let me maybe show over here. This is the grounds over here of the grounds of the Longwood Garden. That's where they're at right here. All the when the first response came, we saw all of the state troopers and other law enforcement come from the command center, which is up in Unionville, about 3 miles away. Another force of showing, they all went into the grounds of Longwood Garden here, and then that is where probably, I don't know, maybe a half a mile in is where we saw that helicopter hovering at low altitude. That was about an hour ago. The response is still ongoing. We have a couple people in there saying that they are close.
The FBI usually does not send out their personnel unless they think something is imminent. And, you know, again, today they thought this was imminent, a capture of Danelo Cavalcante, but it didn't work out.
Just to let you guys know, I'm going to be stepping off this feed in about 15 minutes to do a live report for Fox 29. But I could tell you this is the most heavy response we've saw.
So the amount of hours would just be a mere guess, but it is thousands of man hours, thousands. So over 400 personnel out today, and this is day 9. So look at all the rest. Look at the rest of it. You know, the rest of the personnel that have been out there. Thank you, Dawn in Wyoming. Thank you. I'm assuming that Dawn may be the better half of Jeff. I'm just guessing because of the state, Wyoming. So Dawn in Wyoming, I have a feeling that you are Jeff's better half. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but thank you for supporting. We're going to go to
the
Google
largest
Earth
response
now, not Google
we've
Maps.
saw so far,
We're going to go up to
and
Google
what
Earth.
makes it interesting and probably
Let me pause him and we'll come back to Chris. By a show of hands in the chat, who wants to see Google Earth images of Longwood Gardens? I'm not an expert at this, but I'm going to try to do it. If you guys want it, put a 1 in the chat. If you want it, put a 2. If you want to just stick with this video, there's 5 hours of this. I could scroll through 5 hours of it. The FBI guy does look tough, right? The way he was standing, he does. He looks like a badass. Let's see. Okay, number 2. I see 1, 2. Ted S says no. Let's stick with the video. I want to go to the videotape. Mark Zayas says, number 1, I want Google Earth. Give me Google. Google. Food bearing. I believe that's why he's hanging in there. Unknown. The old bag says number 2. I love the screen names on some of these people. It's awesome. It doesn't matter to me. I live 5 miles away from this area. Plexus Gaming, stay safe, please. Will is voting for a number 8. Okay, that you want that supersized, and would you like a regular Coke or a Diet Coke with that? FBI guy looks. Jim Hofos says the FBI looks like he doesn't want to get his shoes dirty. Perhaps they look like nice boots. Let's get pizza and have a party. We'll have a pajama party. Dr. Pamela Cholette says, let's get pizza. Natasha sending love. Hi, Natasha. Good to see you. All right, here we go. Google Earth. Stand by. Stop screen. Present. Let's see what we got here. Can I do it? Yes, I can. All right, so this is an overview of Longwood Gardens. This is the big parking lot. And the point of interest is right here. This is where we saw that FBI guy. So let me take my little man and put him here on the street. Let's go down and see what we see. Okay, so by a show of hands, who thinks, yeah, this is it? The FBI guy was hanging out right up over here, right? So this is Longwood Road. And we have to go up this way. Interesting terrain. It's such a public place, right? It is. I want to take a look around just to see if there's any homes that border. Oh, yeah. Looks like there could be houses back here. Yes. Yeah, there's someone's house right there. Yikes. They got to be shitting a brick. So, yeah, this is Longwood Road. Interesting. What did I just do? I exited Street View. Oh, no. What happened? All right, I got it back. As you guys can see, I suck at this. But I wanted to go down on the ground to see. You know, I'm going to have my sister and my niece take a little video from me of this area so we could get a good bird's eye view of it. So I'm going to have her go down and take a view of it. The humidity is so high. The humidity is high. D Banks, thank you so much. I'm not doing that good at it. I'm not doing that good. But I certainly wanted to take a walk. Exit ground view. All right. This is what I wanted to see too, is the overview. Don't send your family there. They live there. They live there. And I wouldn't have them get out, obviously. I want them to just drive by and take a video of it. And she already agreed to do that as long as it's not all blocked off and everything. So so let me show this real quick. All right. So this is the overhead shot of it. I wish I can get rid of this. How do I go full screen? So this is the road where all the FBI and everything was here. And then this is where I wanted to walk up. But this is the area that they were looking at. It's like a pond, like a small pond there. And then as you go up here, looks like, I mean, from this aerial view, it doesn't look like it's densely wooded. But I would imagine as we get closer down and look at this, yeah, it's real dense there. When you do it, yeah, this is 926. They talked about this here too. So again, I gave you guys a disclaimer that I'm not really good at this. But yeah, so Longwood Road, and this is Reservoir, I believe Conservatory Drive or something. Yeah, Conservatory Road. So this is where everything was focused today. This is where everything was completely focused today. Thank you, Enac, Jay. I appreciate it. So Joseph Mulholland is saying, what's the protocol for pursuing Danelo in this type of environment? Are they allowed to search do searches in the brush/forest. You know, law enforcement can do searches wherever they want. If you're asking that question for civilians, you heard the police executive from the state police, Blevin. He said it's dangerous. Don't do it. Because if you take action and shoot this guy, I mean, you never know what could happen. I know that the only way that I would engage him is if he was coming at me, and I would be able to articulate that in a court of law, or to a district attorney, or to a detective that interviewed me. You know, it's all about how you articulate what type of, why you use deadly physical force. But he basically was saying, I can't stop you from doing it, but don't do it. Is really what he said. I mean, if you listen to the interview, that's what he says. Hold on a second. I think I have a News Nation clip that I want to play. All right. Where the hell did it go? Oh, here it is. All right, give me a second. Survivalist believes prison escape. Okay, hey, they did an interview of a survivalist. I want to listen to this. It was 51 minutes ago.
Here with us now, someone who has had experience with escape routes and how to survive in the elements, prepper and survivalist, Jason Charles, who is host of the Angry Prepper on YouTube. Jason, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. First of all, I'd like this now, someone who has had experience with escape routes and how to survive in the elements,
the Angry Prepper
and survivalist, Jason Charles, who is host of the Angry Prepper on YouTube. Jason, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. First of all, I'd like to talk about what Evan just mentioned there, the fact that Cavalcante, who is also accused of murder in Brazil, had escaped to a jungle there. How is that experience there helping him right now in that rough and rugged terrain in Pennsylvania?
Well, I've never been to a jungle myself, but I know that it's a lot hotter than a forest anywhere in the United States. So being that he knows how to keep cool, because he's obviously done it in the jungle, doing it in a forest here in North America is going to be a hell of a lot easier. Plus, I'm just under the assumption he's sticking to water sources to keep cool as well.
All right. So, Jason, before we get into anything else on this manhunt, you are known as the Angry Prepper. First, for our viewers.
Angry Prepper. Okay. So let me answer this question. Jolene, good friend of mine, Jolene Marie, and a lot of people are wanting to know this answer. We don't know. She said, I might have missed this. Do we know if he's armed or not? No. Nobody knows because nobody has him in custody. There's been no reports from people's homes that they're missing guns. We heard possibly 2, maybe 3 homes he broke into. Maybe there's more homes. And the police executive from the state police, he said, I can't even confirm he broke into anybody's homes because we don't have the evidence back. They didn't do, like in Gonzalo Lopez in Texas, they had his freaking DNA. He took a shower. He used the bathroom, and they had DNA from him, and they knew from the DNA that they processed that he was in these homes, and they said it on a press conference. Gonzalo Lopez was in this home, and then he went from that home to another home. He took weapons, he took hunting suits to give him camouflage, but nobody knows if he's got a weapon right now. People are assuming that he does. You have to assume that this savage killer has a weapon. You have to assume it, whether it's a knife, a gun, a hammer, a pickaxe, a shovel, who knows? But you have to assume it.
Just explain prepping and how it works.
So prepping is not a survival thing. It's just preparing for disasters. So whether that's a storm, an earthquake, tornadoes, this is what I normally talk about on my channel. And as far as future things that come down the line, I mean, like we're all waiting for California to break off into the ocean, and we're all waiting for the next big hurricane to come up the East Coast. So this is what I talk about in regards to how to get prepared for situations like that.
All right. So, Jason, obviously, Cavalcante, who escaped from a prison didn't have time to prep, didn't have time to spend weeks, getting his supplies together, so to speak. So what things are crucial for him right now? Obviously we know food, things like hidden shelter. How is he securing those things while also obviously staying on the move?
I'm only assuming that he's gathering supplies somewhere in the near area or near neighborhood. Unless he knows how to fashion a lot of that on his own, I'm assuming that that's him with a backpack. He had to have gotten it from somewhere and he's stolen supplies. As far as keeping fed and water, I mean, these forests are filled with animals, especially if he knows what he's doing. And water sources, if he's drinking from the water source nearby, the police could only pray that he actually gets sick from drinking that water.
Absolutely. And everything based on being a prepper, based on being a survivalist, we know that this search area has continually shifted. I mean, we're now in day 9. Do you think he's trying to get farther away, or right now is he kind of staying within a radius of a few miles, but just constantly moving to try to utilize that rough terrain to his advantage? Because so far, I mean, it's worked for at least 9 days.
9 days is a long time. So if he's 9 days in, I'm assuming that he's moving further away, but also giving them, if I was him, I would give them false directions, right? So set up one area and move the opposite and make it look like I'm staying in the area and get further away as fast as I can. I mean, that's the best option, to move as fast as you can away from where you're going to get caught. But if he escaped in Brazil, I'm sure he's going to use the same.
Anybody see what I'm seeing here? I talked about this last night with Anthony Ganji. In Gonzalo Lopez, there was a ton of corrections out searching for this guy. What does it say on the back of this guy's bulletproof vest? Warden. Now, people can argue that that might be his last name, but I don't think so. This might be prison personnel. Emergency services. They have their own ESU in a lot of these prisons. So it says warden. I think this is a prison personnel searching, tactical response team, emergency services. And let me just say this. I'm going to put myself back on just for a second. A lot of these homeowners in this zone and in the other zones have fled and left their homes. So take that into account. A lot of them could have fled their homes in fear and said, hey, screw this. I'm going to my sister-in-law's. I'm going to my friends. I'm going to my brother's house. I'm going to my sister's house. And they might have gotten the hell out of Dodge. So there's a lot of vacant homes. And he could be going in the middle of the night, home to home, and looking to see if it doesn't look like this home's occupied. We know from one person that he broke into his home. The wife was upstairs calling 911, and this guy was flicking lights on. So let's just put it back. A lot of these homes are empty. People got the hell out of there. They're like, screw this. I'm not getting killed by this prison break killer. I'm not hanging out in my house waiting for him to come and get me while I'm sleeping. Think about it. How are you going to close your eyes if you live in that zone? Not worrying that you're going to wake up and some guy's going to be hovering over you. So a lot of these houses are empty. And if he could have a field day with getting supplies and getting weapons and getting things that he needs to stay alive and be a survivalist. Let's listen to the angry prepper.
Still, I'm sure he's going to use and make it look like I'm staying in the area and get further away as fast as I can. I mean, that's the best option, to move as fast as you can away from where you're going to get caught. But if he escaped in Brazil, I'm sure he's going to use the same tactic here.
All right. Well, survivalist and angry prepper, Jason.
There he goes, the angry prepper. I never heard of that guy. Shout out to the angry prepper. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else worthy to play. Maybe, maybe not. All right, let's take a look over here quickly. New sighting in Longwood Gardens.
With more.
All right, let's take a look at this. And this is going to show the dogs. Who let the dogs out? Everybody's talking about the dogs, right? Just release 100 dogs in that area where he's spotted and let them take care of business. Release 100 rabid dogs that are ready to just rip them apart. Let them go.
Another sighting of a convicted killer in the same area he was seen earlier this week. The massive search for Danelo Cavalcante is now entering its 9th day, with the escaped prisoner still on the loose.
Our primary mission is to get this guy.
Look at that.
Now entering its 9th day, with the escaped prisoner.
That looks pretty urgent right there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 officers and a dog running.
Prisoner still on the loose. The escaped prisoners 9th day, with the escaped prisoner still on the loose.
Our primary mission is to get this guy in custody.
Overnight, authorities confirming he was sighted again yesterday at the Longwood Botanical Gardens, where he was spotted on trail cameras earlier this week, sending an alert Thursday that, quote, the subject has been spotted in our area, and advising visitors to shelter in place, later saying the gardens were closed due to the search.
He's already murdered 2 people, one in Brazil and one here, in a very brutal manner.
According to police, Cavalcante escaped Chester County Prison last Thursday morning. Surveillance video shows him crab walking up walls in a hallway just off the prison's exercise yard. According to police, Cavalcante escaped Chester County.
Now, what do you think, guys? I mean, okay, so there's this manhunt intensifies branding. This guy's shirtless right here. And I asked Anthony Ganji, you could see the water spigot right here to the right. Hold on a second. You could see the water spigot to the right. This guy's shirtless, and it looks like he's got maybe there is a shirt tucked into the back. Maybe this guy gave him his shirt. If he, in fact, did give him the shirt, that inmate, then it will be on video. Well, there's more video in this rec area. This isn't the only shot of this rec area. So if this inmate gave him the shirt and was acting in concert with him or helping be a lookout, then he also could be charged with facilitating the escape of Danelo Cavalcante. We may hear that coming down the pike. Shirt, towels, whatever the hell it was. If this guy had anything to do with helping him, it's going to be on video. So let's just take a peek.
Prison last.
Very brutal manner.
According to police, Cavalcante escaped Chester County Prison last Thursday morning. Surveillance video shows him crab walking up walls in a hallway just off the prison's exercise yard. Then, authorities say, he managed to wiggle through barbed wire to get out, an escape route used before by... He managed to wiggle through
Wiggled through barbed wire to get out. And didn't get cut. I guess the towel.
Wire to get out, an escape route used before. Then, authorities say, he managed to wiggle through barbed wire to get out, an escape route used before by another inmate back in May. After that escape, the prison put new measures including razor wire in place, but it did not stop Cavalcante, whose absence was not noted for almost an hour.
The one thing we didn't take into account was a failure on the human element side.
Residents in this normally quiet neighborhood frustrated he has not been captured. 200 law enforcement, lots of agencies out here trying to get this guy. They still haven't. Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of woods. There's a lot of places to hide, but I'm very, very surprised and kind of disappointed that they haven't caught him by now.
Cavalcante was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Convicted.
So that was a local resident.
Of stabbing his ex-girlfriend, Deborah Browndow, to death in front of her children. Her sister, Sarah Browndow, says her family is living in constant fear. You're afraid he's hiding?
Yes, here in my backyard, in my house. I'm scared all the time.
This is the sister of the victim who was brutally stabbed and murdered. They have 24-hour, 7-day a week, around the clock police protection. But that police protection, again, comes at a price. Costs a ton of money to do it. It's the right thing to do. But these people are living in fear. Listen to her. Listen to what she's saying. This is horrifying.
Deborah Browndow to death in front of her children. Her sister Sarah Browndow says her family is living in constant fear.
You're afraid he's hiding?
Yes, here in my backyard, in my house. I'm scared all the time.
And Hoda, this morning, we're expected to get an inside look at that command post to see at some of the tools that some of the police agencies are using to track down this fugitive. Now, they've noted that it has been brutally hot here these last couple of days, but they say it has not impeded search efforts. Hoda.
All right, let me look at the chat because the chat's swelling and getting crazy. This is a good comment. I'd be crapping myself. Yeah. Allison BD. Wow. DutyRon, thank you, Roke. The picture with him looks like he bandaged his wrist. Yeah, I saw that. Could be, and he used it maybe to get through that barbed wire. I mean, it's just amazing that they hired an independent contractor to come in, a security and safety contractor to come in. And what the hell did they do? They did nothing. They did nothing to secure that facility.
Today with nearly 400.
They did nothing to secure the facility. Here's a CBS affiliate. Let's take a listen. This was just from a couple of hours ago.
Troopers announced today with nearly 400 strong looking for him. They're optimistic they will find their man. We have team coverage in the search for Cavalcante. We begin with Chief Investigative Reporter Joe Holden. And Joe, you have seen some intense activity where you are in Kennett Square. What's the latest?
No, Yuki and Jessica, like a sharp crescendo about 90 minutes ago when we noticed the amount of police personnel here just dramatically increasing. We're trying to figure out exactly what is going on from out of our sight. Chopper 3 capturing some video from earlier, but my sources telling me that this all came as the result of some engagement on the ground, and they are waiting for any result at all. In fact, again, the words that we heard from the command center and sources there was that they were anxiously awaiting any new intel. Let's go ahead. My photographer, Will Kenworthy, is going to push down. This is Conservatory Road. You can see state troopers still at their posts with their long guns.
So there you have it. They were posted along Conservatory Road at short intervals. And just, you know, an unbelievable sight today. And it made for some unbelievable live video, and that's for sure. I was watching it from work. You know, I want to look at the chat and answer some questions, but let's let the rest of this play.
This is a formation that has not been the standard. There is nothing over the last few days that we've seen to suggest that this is as at high an alert as from the start of all of this 9 days ago in this manhunt for convicted killer Danelo Cavalcante. The lieutenant colonel who heads up this operation told us confidently they'd be here for as long as it would take with as many personnel as possible. That number would rise and fall as their needs determined where they were in their search for this man who is from Brazil, wanted out of Brazil for a murder. He escaped there, living in the jungle for times, escaping capture. He comes to Puerto Rico, and then officials say he enters this country illegally, where he continued to live until police took him into custody, charging him with the homicide of his former girlfriend.
There's an order, Carol Grayson. She says, will they shoot to kill? Yes. If he does not comply with an order to surrender. That could be as quick as put your hands up, and he doesn't do it, and then pop. I'm just being blunt, but that's a fact. Put your hands up or get down on the ground, and he doesn't do it. The next thing is shoot. And those are orders coming straight from the top. I want to just get an idea by a show of hands in the chat. Who thinks that Danelo Cavalcante is still in that search zone where they have it corned off? Who thinks he's there? Press a 1. Who thinks he's outside of that area? I don't care if you think it's Mexico or Canada or wherever, press a 2 if you think he's not anywhere around. 1 if you think he's there and the police are onto him and they're going to get him. 2 if you don't have any, if you don't think that there's any chance that he's there. So I see a lot of number 1s. I see some number 2s floating in right now. Ben says 2. Marco says 2. Has Glasses says 2. Sando Rock says 1. Ruth Emily Hood 2. Stephanie 2. Ruth says 1. Here's Nina saying 1 and 2. That wasn't an option.
The testimony that helped convict him from that woman's own child who said she watched in horror as he stabbed her mother 38 times. The conviction only came last month. His sentencing handed down swiftly. The Inquirer reporting he was sentenced in under 15 minutes by a Chester County grand jury. He was convicted and sentenced to life in jail without the possibility of parole. And right now, our eyes are fixed on this law enforcement operation again, as intense as we've seen, with state troopers patrolling the area, this perimeter that is just outside of Longwood Gardens, where they said that they believed, with the best intelligence late this morning, that they had pinned him down in this location. So the search for Danelo Cavalcante continues to go on, and I have to tell you, I just heard my phone buzz, see if this is anything of note, because we're continuing to check with our sources, but best available information for anyone who is watching, anybody in this area, was that law enforcement at all were anxiously awaiting word of this latest engagement, encounter, or however they're describing it, in the hunt for Danelo Cavalcante. That is the latest reporting live in Kennett Square. I'm Joe Holden, CBS.
So there you have it. I think the 1s outweigh the 2s, and that doesn't mean anything. It's just a poll, anybody's guess is good. There's a chance that he is there and there's a chance that he's not. But I'd have to say that, I don't feel that law enforcement would be going on a wild goose chase. They have to have some good intel to have this type of flurry of activity. They're not just going to do it to show, to have, just to put a show on, is what I'm trying to say. U.S. Marshals are probably leading the tactical part. The tactics that the U.S. Marshals use to track and find people are the best. They are at the forefront of bringing people back into custody. So there's no question in my mind that they are the lead when it comes to tactics. But when it comes to personnel, the state police has the most personnel. There, you're going to see, don't be fooled that you see state police with those AR-15, AR-style rifles out on the perimeter. Don't be fooled and think they're running the whole show. They are being directed by the U.S. Marshal Service. There's no question in my mind about that. Let's see what else we have here. Here's something from the neighbors. There's Banfield too. I guess I'll play both of these things, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I just want to see what
the neighbors living and working in and around Kennett Square are trying to keep their plans and normal routines as that search continues for Cavalcante. CBS Philadelphia's Nikki Dementri is standing by now with that part of our coverage. Nikki.
Good evening, Yuki. We're standing here at Schoolhouse Road and Route 1. It's not far from where you just heard Joe was standing and talking about that increased manhunt. Within the last hour, we actually had a trooper that was stationed here throughout the day. He left, headed towards where Joe was going. So we're, again, just waiting to hear everything that's developing over there. But we talked with people in this area of the Walmart shopping center. Even on day 9, they said they are remaining vigilant, and life, they said, is not going to return to normal until Cavalcante is back in custody.
We were hearing like sirens, and we're like, could that be it? So there's always that thought in the back of your mind.
Heather Frischma is hoping today is the day Danelo Cavalcante is back in custody. While she doesn't live in the direct search area, she frequents Kennett Square.
9 days. I know. It just seems a little bit unreal. And this morning when I woke up, I really was hoping that they caught him.
Police confirmed the convicted murderer has now been seen on trail cameras at Longwood Gardens 2 different days, the most recent being Wednesday night. With that, the search perimeter moved west, and Pennsylvania State Trooper cars could be seen Friday along Route 1.
I drove by and saw about some police officers every 50 yards or so with weapons that I've never seen before in my life. So, I mean, I don't know if it's scary, but it's just a little unsettling.
On Longwood Road, U.S. Marshals were seen combing the grounds. The botanical garden remained closed after it abruptly shut down Thursday night, while a spokesperson said authorities searched an area of interest on the grounds.
When you see the cornfields, when you see all the other stuff with the grass up to your waist, it's really a difficult job the police have got trying to find them.
Several people we spoke with in Kennett Square say they're keeping a close eye on their homes and cars as Cavalcante remains on the run.
It's just shocking that so many people are searching and it's one person and we can't find him.
So we talked about returning life to normal. A little piece of that returning to normal, I should say, staying normal, is the 38th annual Mushroom Festival that happens just a couple miles from where I'm standing right now. That is going on as planned this weekend. I spoke with organizers. I also spoke with the chief at Kennett Square Police. He tells me that he is in constant contact with everyone that is running this manhunt and will change things if need be. For now, live in Kennett Square, Mickey.
So there you have it, folks. I'm just going to take one more quick look. Let me just see if that's still there. Let's listen to this.
I want to bring in John Muffler if I can right now. He is the man who once oversaw the U.S. Marshals who are hunting Cavalcante right now. He's a former assistant chief deputy U.S. Marshal of the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. And
here's a former U.S. Marshal.
He now owns a security consulting company. John, I know that you are still really close with your guys, that you supervised a lot of the guys who are on the hunt right now. What are you hearing about the latest as we go into 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night, Eastern time?
Yeah, I think we all want this to be over sooner than later, just like the citizens of the area. I know they're tired, but they're the best in the business. And, again, this is going to end sooner than later. But, it takes time to get the resources and get the assets in place. It's been 9 days, but it's only been 9 days. Some of these other escapes have lasted, as you know, weeks, if not a month or so. So, I think they have the right assets in place. And my understanding is that more assets, federal assets, specialized assets are on their way there for a full court press.
All right, well, that's a new piece of information, more specialized federal assets on the way. Also, help me flesh out this new nugget of information that you've just exclusively helped us break tonight, and that is that there was a very reliable sighting of Danelo Cavalcante today. What do you know?
I know that's very reliable. I can't really say much more than that, but it's super positive news based on the information I heard about who had the sighting. So I'll leave it at that, but it's a very good sighting and something they're working on specific to that information.
As we speak, well, that's also, here we are, Friday night. Usually we have kind of a quiet show, and not the case yet again tonight. So I got to ask you about this other information that you now are able to bring to us, and that is that this area is affluent. A lot of these homes are unoccupied because they're second homes. And
so there you go. I was just saying that about 20 minutes ago. A lot of these homes are unoccupied, and that's advantage Danelo Cavalcante. Advantage, why? Because if they're unoccupied, he could break into them and just rummage through the place. So
now we can break tonight this information that there is proof that he has been in some of these homes. What do you know?
Yeah, that area it's a beautiful area. I used to live in the area. The Longwood Gardens is a beautiful place. A lot of single homes, a lot of rural area, horse farms, and a lot of those homeowners have second homes elsewhere. And I know that some of these, what I'm told is some of these homes are unoccupied for whatever reason. And they've gone in there. Some of the investigators, as part of their search, gone in there and looked around. And they can do that based on exigent circumstances because of the escaped prisoner. And so they know he's been in some of these places.
Is that because he's left, evidence behind, garbage, food that he's eaten and strewn about, broken windows? Is there, I mean, that's just the layperson's assessment. What's the specialty that you would know that he's been in there?
Yeah, so some forced entry, some markings in the doors, breaking and entering to get in there. There's some of those scrape marks by doors that are an indicator of forced entry. And then looking around the house and seeing things disheveled, cabinets kind of open, etc.
So I missed the last thing you said, but I did. When you said disheveled, did you see any beds slept in or sofas slept on? Like that's where he's finding shelter in these break-ins?
It's possible. I don't know that. I can't answer that. I just don't know that. But it stands to reason that he has to get rest somewhere. And it's possible. I can't confirm that at all, but it's likely.
So the other big question is, so many, almost everybody, you can toss a stone and you'll hit somebody with a Ring doorbell cam. Do you know if they've been able to see him on any Ring doorbell cams doing a break-in?
As far as the video doorbells, I can't confirm that 100% with you. I know that that is a common investigative tool to use is go to neighbors and look at their video doorbells and find that. It's very possible. That is a very common investigative technique. So I can't confirm that specifically.
I love that this guy is not feeding into just giving her answers, and this is a sign of a true professional. He's a retired U.S. Marshal, and he was in a supervisory position. I see Ed Wallace is in the chat. Ed, I knew that your parents were there with you. You spent an hour with me. I was not going to dare ask you to come live at 10:30 when I went live. I waited. I went and washed my face and had a little cup of coffee and then came back at it because I knew I had to speak about this because this breaking news and developments that happened in this case today, I had to speak about it, and I wasn't going to do it tomorrow because I got a whole day planned with Mrs. DutyRon. So I had to squeeze this in tonight at 10:30. And out of respect for you, I didn't even ask you because you just spent an hour with us, giving us an unbelievable amount of your time. So your mom there, dad, I'm like, there's just no way that I could ask him to come. But now that you said that I should have, from now on, I'll ask you over and over again to keep coming. And you may regret that decision because I'm going to now ask you every time. I was just trying to give you the pass. I was giving you the 28 signed, pre-signed 28. Anyways, Banfield, I got to give it to her right now. I got to give it to Banfield. She did a good job by getting this guest on. This guy he didn't bite. He didn't give her information about videos that he had no knowledge of. And I like this guest.
But it wouldn't surprise me. That is a common investigative tool to use is go to neighbors and look at their video doorbells and find that. It's very possible. That is a very common investigative technique. So I can't confirm that specifically, but it wouldn't surprise me.
And have they put out a call to all those residents? Check your Ring doorbell cams, especially if it's a second home, especially if your dwelling is unoccupied. Look at your doorbell cam and let us know.
Yes.
100%. I know that, the troopers, the marshals, the agents that are involved in this, and, you had access to that command post today. That's information that the investigators, no matter what uniform they're wearing, they're all looking at that. They're all asking those questions. They're all knocking on those doors and asking neighbors, what do you have? What have you seen?
I'm reading the chat, and Ed Wallace, he said he changed their diapers and gave them their bottles and put them to bed. Oh my God. Ed, you're killing me. You're killing me. All right, guys, I think that's enough. It's an hour and, an hour and 45 minutes. This has been extended coverage on Danelo Cavalcante. At one point, there was 4,000 people in here watching us. do the overview and the coverage. I know it's been an overwhelming amount of coverage, so I'm honored that you guys were in here with me. Thousands and thousands of you guys strong watching this. It's a lot of interest. A lot of people have interest in this because we want justice. We want this scumbag, this murderer, Danelo Cavalcante, brought into justice without any other loss of life. Any innocent civilians and folks who live in that general area, any law enforcement, we want him, please. We want this guy taken into custody or taken out. Either or. I'll take it either way. Because we're not going to get anything out of this guy. He's just going to cost us money. He's going to cost us money by taking up valuable space in one of our prisons. Ed Wallace says, Ron, tell them how my mom came on the camera with you and started to tell you about how she gave birth to me. And she said that you gave her a lot of trouble. But I told her, I said, thank you for lending us your son for over an hour. I think I said 2 hours. And she was like, you don't know the half of it. She was like ready to give me the business. Thank you, Jennifer, Jen_Nifer. Thank you for being here. I just did a quick scan of YouTube quickly. I wanted to see if there was anything of value as it pertains to this. I saw something with a helicopter. Storm manager worried. What is this? Let me take a look at this.
Alex works at
Of course, it involves Banfield, but I want to just see this because she's talking about a store manager. So let me just see this.
Store that's been inside that perimeter for the last 8 days. He lives within a few miles of the search area. He's live with me. So Alex, I'm not sure if you could hear the interview that I was just doing before you with John Muffler. He's a former U.S. Marshal, but he said they've now confirmed that some of those homes that are unoccupied, Cavalcante has been in there, disheveled areas, beds maybe, or couches, and scrape and break-in marks on the doors. This is your neighborhood. I can only imagine how that makes you feel.
It's news to me. I didn't know anything about that. We're just really going off of our local customer base and the customers that come into us and tell us about their experience and what they're going through. So that's kind of it's an update to, I guess, a lot of people that's happening, that he's found refuge in abandoned homes, or not abandoned homes, but vacation homes, and something that I've never been told about. So all I know is that our local customer base is the ones that can come into the store and can get to us are they're happy to be out, and they're happy to be in the community again and not stuck in their homes.
Alex, and one of the other things that John Muffler told us was that they've seen evidence now that the backpack that he found or took or stole or got somehow after he left prison, because he didn't have it at that jail, it's laden. It's full of supplies now, presumably from some of the homes that he's been in, according to this breaking news tonight. You've got kids, you and your wife. What are you doing at night? How are you keeping yourselves and your kids safe?
I guess that's everybody's concern too. I mean, I don't live directly in the area that this search is going on, and I know that our local customer base has told me about a lot of things that they're experiencing. I'm confident in my family to protect ourselves, so I know that we're okay. But we always worry. You know, this guy's going south, and he could go into the area that I live, and everybody's locking their doors. They're becoming more aware of doors that they've never locked before in their lives, and getting security cameras, getting lights on outside. We've noticed a huge influx of keys that we're selling, locks, flashlights, anything to detect things that they weren't commonly used to. So I know that that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I jump in for a moment? I only have about 40 seconds left, but a lot of people I'm learning have shown up there as vigilantes, looking for the $20,000 reward. Have you seen any evidence of that? And if so, are you happy about it? Or are you frustrated by it? How are you processing the vigilantes?
Well, we've been very.
All right, this is ridiculous. So yeah, there are people coming in. They're not vigilantes. They're people that are looking for the $20,000. I mean, anyways, Ed, I wanted to ask you, because Ed, you're here. There's been these reports that, and I didn't vet it, didn't see who was talking about it, but people are mentioning in most of these chats that the heat, the flare and the heat sensors from the helicopters, because of the high heat on the ground, is not working. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because I know you know about a lot of this stuff. Ed, if you could put it in the chat, if I had you here, this is what I'd want you to talk about and address, about the technology on some of these modern helicopters. It just didn't seem right to me that it wouldn't work because it's 100 degrees on the ground or 80 or 90 degrees. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that story that's circulating out there. And I don't know, you guys, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I ever heard the state superintendent, the state police executive mention that. Was that just a story that people were talking about, or is this really a thing? That's what I'd want to know. Are they using flare? I have to assume so. These are new equipment helicopters, and the state police probably have all of the latest technology. But Ed Wallace knows about this stuff. So inquiring minds want to know. So Ed says it should be able to distinguish between the different heat signatures. Right. So again, I don't know where these reports are coming. Ted S. said, I heard about the heat being too much, but who did we hear it from? Are these just people on the internet talking about it? Or was it the actual officials? Because I didn't get a chance to listen to all these press conferences, and in no news reporting did I hear actual clips from Pennsylvania State Police saying that it wasn't working. So look at all these people saying, come on, Ed, come on. This is too late. Ed is in his pajamas. He's got his fuzzy slippers on and he's ready. But I just wanted to get, I wanted to get his take on that, because that was a whole nother thing. That was a whole nother thing that people were getting caught up on and talking about. 36 minutes ago, officers swarm area.
An intense search for an escaped convict continues into the night in Chester County. There is a large police presence in the area of Longwood Gardens as authorities hope to find Danelo.
Yeah, this is 30 minutes ago, so this is most up to date.
Cavalcante. It is Friday night. Shari is off. I'm Gray Hall. The big story on Action News is the efforts to find the inmate who escaped from a Chester County prison 9 days ago. And today we learned the tower guard who failed to spot Danelo Cavalcante as he climbed out of an exercise yard has been fired. Action News reporter Andy McCormick has the very latest from the search area in East Marlboro Township.
Hundreds of law enforcement have flooded this area from the air to the ground and to the command post. It's the largest law enforcement presence that we've seen to date since that fugitive escaped 9 days ago. Law enforcement standing guard through the night, stationed across the area with long guns. This is one of several convoys that navigated its way through Longwood Gardens tonight. State police are confident Danelo Cavalcante is here in this perimeter. According to eyewitness accounts, Cavalcante was last spotted in the area around noon on Thursday, and footage from a private trail camera placed him there Wednesday night. Cavalcante's bold and impressive escape came shortly after his sentencing for stabbing his ex-girlfriend to death in 2021. Prior to that, he was wanted for murder in his native Brazil and eluded capture.
After the crime that he committed down there, he did something very similar to this in the jungle down there. So it's not surprising to me that he's able to last out there for a little while.
Inside the state police command post, law enforcement from multiple jurisdictions are working 12-hour shifts.
It allows us to visually see where we've got people placed.
The latest perimeter is outlined on this map and shows exactly where trooper vehicles are stationed, so multiple dispatchers know as tip calls continue to come in.
In this area, we've got tactical teams operating right now, mounted, canines, aviation.
Tens of thousands of people are expected here this weekend for the Mushroom Festival. We're told that it's still going on, but they will have additional security. But authorities say expect to see this increased presence throughout the weekend or until he's caught. And also a reminder that there's a $20,000 reward for information that leads to the fugitive's capture.
So nobody knows, again, how he got into the U.S., into Puerto Rico from Brazil. But he did get in there. So we don't have the answers to that. And I would never just give you an answer just to answer it. So the answer is we don't know. We do not know. All right, listen, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm exhausted. Ed Wallace and I will continue on with this coverage as this story unfolds. I don't have any plans to go live this weekend, but if something happens, if something breaks in this case, in other words, if he's taken into custody, then you can expect to see me live. But I'm thinking, for this weekend, I'm just going to take it off, take a little bit of a break. We have Monday is September 11th, 22 years. Ed and I will be doing a September 11th World Trade Center, our World Trade Center response live stream. We'll be talking about that fateful day and some of the losses that we both experienced. Ed's deep personal loss and some of the things that we've suffered through. And Ed has a whole host of health issues, and myself, not so much as Ed's, but we're going to talk. It's going to be a tough day. I actually took the day off. I'm not even going into the office on September 11th. So I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, all the folks who positively engage in the chat, giving this video a thumbs up, sharing it out onto your social media platform. Let's get Danelo Cavalcante into custody. Let's send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the law enforcement community, the folks who are living in that area, sending everybody strength to get through this. It's not an easy thing. Just think about it. We're so used to being safe and secure in our homes, and these people cannot feel safe and secure because they got a brutal murderer out on the loose. So I want to say thank you to everybody for being here, and we'll see you on the next one. God bless and good night from New York City. Peace and love, guys. Talk to you soon.